Well, good evening and welcome to a special edition of Tucker Carlson Tonight. I'm Will Cain, in for Tucker. Now, if you want to know what is in a bill in Congress and what it's actually going to do, take a good look at the name of the bill. Whatever it is, you can be sure the legislation will do the exact opposite. The American Recovery and Reinvestment Act of 2009, for example, it led to the worst economic recovery this country had seen since World War II. The so-called Marketplace Fairness Act is just an internet sales tax, which big companies like Amazon support. Why? Because it helps Amazon price out smaller competitors. And according to Congress, that's marketplace fairness. So we should all be very nervous, very, very concerned that Congress just passed something called the Inflation Reduction Act. It mandates hundreds of billions of new dollars and spending that will increase the money supply in this country. And that will, in turn, devalue the currency, and that, in turn, cause more inflation. That's basic supply and demand. But before we get into the specifics of the legislation, keep in mind, life is already so expensive in this country that we literally have bread lines in major cities. Fox's Jeff Flock just spoke to volunteers at one food bank in Camden, New Jersey, who say that many people cannot afford rice and beans.
Look at all these people. This is a line that runs almost around the block here. Yeah, things cost more, and so people that otherwise, you look people well dressed in line that typically would not be at a food bank, but they are.
Pre-pandemic, we were at Fill Abundance feeding about 90,000 people per week, and now we're about at 140,000 people per week. Rice, pasta, beans. We're also finding that finding those items for us is getting to be very expensive as well.
I just want to again show Stuart the line of folks here, and this is all sorts of folks. They're families, single people. A lot of these people would not be in a line to try and get some food.
And that's America. And that's happening all across America. And you have to wonder, why then is the Biden administration devaluing money when we have bread lines? Well, their justification for the bill is that it will stop the climate from changing. That's why the bill includes $50 billion in subsidies for electric vehicle purchases, which, by the way, will lead manufacturers to jack up the price of electric vehicles. We've learned that lesson from healthcare subsidies and subsidies for college tuition. There's also billions of dollars for the Postal Service to buy new mail trucks that don't pollute as much. And of course, there's $100 billion for the so-called renewable industry. And that includes manufacturers of solar panels and wind turbines. So, is that a good investment? Let's see. Right now, virtually every major renewable manufacturer is based in China. China makes 80% of the world's solar panels and most of the world's wind turbines. So it's safe to say China understands renewables. But here's the revealing thing. China is not relying on those renewables for power generation. Take a look at this chart. It shows annual carbon emissions from China, the U.S., and Europe, going back to the 70s. Notice our emissions have been going down for years. China's, by contrast, has been rising dramatically. That's because they're not shutting down their coal plants. In fact, they're building more coal plants than the rest of the world combined. What that means is that China wants the rest of the world to run on so-called renewables, but China doesn't want renewables for themselves. And that's because China benefits financially and strategically when Western countries sabotage their own energy supply in the name of protecting the climate. But like any good dealer, they don't get high on their own supply. And most Americans recognize that. Take a look at this recent tweet from Rasmussen, the polling outfit. People in this country care about, of course, things like inflation, the economy, crime, immigration. And by contrast, most Americans recognize the media is far more interested in pushing false narratives about climate change. And there's good reason for that. You'll notice no one in the media ever blames countries like China or India for their carbon emissions, even though they are the world's largest polluters. Instead, the media blames Americans.
It's almost a privilege to care about inflation as your number one issue. The same is true of gas prices, or even the idea that it's the economy, stupid. I always found that analysis lacking because as a black person, I don't want to get killed on the way to my job. So I'm glad I have a job. I'm glad I make a living wage. But if I can't be alive, then what does that other stuff matter?
That's a television host in a television studio lecturing people standing in bread lines about their privilege. And by the way, this is how the White House views inflation as well. They're openly mocking anyone who is concerned about inflation. How do you know that? Well, to illustrate the point, the Biden administration just approved a $300,000 grant to promote gay and transgender social acceptance in Botswana. The Daily Caller is reporting that African country can expect the funds anytime soon. Meanwhile, Americans can't afford rice and beans. It's such an obvious failure of leadership. No one can defend this. At MSNBC, they've been reduced to this.
If you just lost your house because of a flood in Kentucky, if you just lost your livelihood because it burnt down in a wildfire, if you just lost your life because you are the wrong color and you were pulled over somewhere, inflation doesn't really matter to you or to your loved ones. There are much broader things going on right now in this country that affect so many demographics that the dollars to cents case that has been made time and again about, like I said, it's the economy stupid. There's a blind spot there, and you'll notice that the majority of people who make that statement are generally white.
Inflation, recession, that's not really what matters in life. If you notice the footage we showed you earlier about the bread lines, not a racial issue. Inflation hurts poor Americans the most, and that happens to cut across racial lines. So why are we really making inflation worse? If it's not to save the climate, and it's not about punishing privileged Americans, what's the point? Here's one clue. Buried in the bill is a big giveaway to the Internal Revenue Service. The agency stands to gain $80 billion from this legislation. Now, that will allow the agency to hire more than 80,000 new agents. Keep in mind, the IRS is already wonderfully, mysteriously, heavily militarized. They've stockpiled thousands of firearms and millions of rounds of ammunition. Why does the IRS need all that weaponry? Why do we need to make the IRS even more powerful exactly? We know the point isn't to investigate wealthy or powerful Americans. The most recent version of the bill keeps the carried interest loophole intact. Now, that benefits wealthy individuals and institutions, in particular hedge fund managers, who are some of the Democratic Party's biggest donors. So it won't be Goldman Sachs doors being kicked in with IRS agents with those guns. Now, following all this, Build Back Better means doing exactly what China and hedge fund managers that make a lot of money in China want us to do. What do Americans get out of the deal? Apparently a lot more inflation and probably a lot more audits.
Subscribe to the Fox News YouTube channel to catch our nightly opens, stories that are changing the world and changing your life. From Tucker Carlson Tonight.